Hi guys, this is Guarin. Today we're gonna talk about Edison format problems. I want to look at Edison through the eyes of a competitive player, but through the eyes of a casual player who joined Edison format because he was told that in Edison format all decks could be competitive and play on the same level. So you won't hear me complaining about how unfair Dash should bring control future fusion are, but I will focus on the problems that prevent Edison from bringing the diverse format it was promised to be. Edison format fake diversity. The first problem of Edison is the fake diversity of the format. Edison was revisited the format because in principle people thought that the format would have been really diverse with lots of different decks competing in every tournament for the winning spot. And while this was the case at the start of the format, it's no longer the case now. Now the top decks are Blackwing, Turbo, and Frogs. In my opinion, also Gladiator Beast, Dragon Turbo, and Gigabytes are top decks. But since they're more difficult to play, they see less representation. Let's also put Lizo among the top decks, even if it's more luck reliant. While it's true that the range of decks with which you can top an event is wide, the range of decks that can win an event is far less wide. You can top an event with Diva Hero, Amaryllis, Hero Beat, Quick Draw, Dark Calling, Machine, whatever rock decks you like, but your chances of winning the event are much slimmer. First online events and then also in real events went from having diverse top cuts, with even some rock decks winning the event, to top cuts mostly dominated by Black Queen, Bion, and Frogs. For instance, a year ago we had the second bat won by Diva Zombie, piloted by Xeris, and it was in 2022, 200 players. And in 2023, we had Deck Devastator 3 that was won by Carpat with Chaos Fairy. And in the final, we also had Dragon Beat, piloted by Xiko. And this is crazy, especially considering that now those decks haven't won anything in years, and it's also rare to see them in a top cuts. In real events look diverse when they started, but that's probably because many online players don't play in real events and vice versa. So real players lagged 1 or 2 years in terms of format experience compared to online players. But now that they caught up, also in real events top cuts started looking like those of online events. Just look at Herbert Indie top cut. I think this is the latest RBT and it's called Indie. Like it's all value with some Blackwing hero. The only outlier deck is the Deva hero and Lyzorn if you want. Sadly, it's natural progression from casual meta to competitive meta, something that also happens on locals. Like at my locals, we went from having a fairly diverse meta to mostly Blackwing, Bion, and Frog players, with many players either quitting the locals or converting to one of the top decks. People say that it's normal when the format gets explored that it becomes solved and that just few meta decks end up dominating the format. But while this is generally true, I want to analyze why this is the case for Edison format. Let's start with the easy stuff. This slide is self-telling. The presence of deck devastation virus and royal passion is the diversity of the format because even when you're just choosing what deck to play, even if you see that it's gonna have a big problem with some of these cards, you're gonna think twice about it and about bringing it to an event, and you will probably end up on a deck that doesn't suffer much from this card. Another big problem of Edison is frogs. For rogue decks, dealing with the constant pressure from Monarch, Synchro, and the Dew block makes the frog matchup absolutely a terrible experience. It's difficult for a rogue deck to summon something that can auto Monarch without going minus, accounting also for the free -1 given by the Monarch the turn before. And a 2000 death dupe is also a problem for many rogue decks, let alone having to auto dupe block. For Ogdax, the way to auto-dupe block in the mains without going to attribute summon through Caius are few. We have Torrential Tribute, Book of Moon, and Brain Control. Some decks do use Smash and Compulsory in the main, but they do so at the expense of sacrificing some important trap cards and other cards that are crucial in the matchups against Black Queen and Vayu. So in the end, their suboptimal choices. It's true that there is the side deck and that you can side in those cards, or even better cards like Needle Sealing to kill the block. But you still have to draw the side cards, and you have to do that before Frog does too many damage. And also against Fishborn Frog, you even have less time to draw the cards because the deck is much faster compared to other Frog variants and it will kill you before you get the chance to draw your side decks. Also, getting rid of the Monarch isn't any easier. Rogue decks to summon a body that can auto Monarch have options like Deep Sea Diva, going to Magical Android and crashing into a Chaos, going to Didi Warrior Lady, smashing, but these options are one for one trade that don't make up for the -1 given by the Monarch in the previous turn. And the worst thing of it is that there are more monarchs coming in the following turns, and they will hit your dimensional prison and mirror force. As you could have guessed, the main problem of Edison of the format that prevents it from being really diverse is that rock decks don't have consistent access to strong and cheap proactive removal, while top tier decks do so and they do plenty. Blackwing has the Icarus attack, Cloud, Dead, Blizzard to go into Synchro like Goy or Brydak, like Devastation Virus. Vayu on top of that has also Reicho and Caius. Frog has Monarch, Absolute Zero, Giant Synchron to go into Synchro play. Glazor Beast has Gaizarus, and it's also an heavy trap deck that can disrupt the opponent's plays in millions of ways. Livesworn has Celeste and Judgment Dragon. So having access to removal is crucial for a deck to be competitive, and given that Frogs is in the format, it's especially crucial to have access to proactive removal because reactive removal do nothing against the deep block. An example of proactive removal is Icarus Attack or Reject Break. You can activate them whenever you want. Instead, cards like Dimensional Pressure are reactive removal. You have to wait for the opponent to attack to get rid of the monster. That's what proactive reactive means. You have to wait for the opponent to do something to activate the card. So, what proactive removal cards can Rodax use? You're gonna tell me that Rodax can main the Hamster Rico Chaos Engine, and while this is true, it comes with other problems. Let's talk about the Reicho paradox. Reicho is at the same time a strong and a weak card. Reicho is good because it's a card that is versatile and can deal with both most boss monsters and annoying cards like Royal Oppression, but it's also a bad card because it makes your deck much weaker to Devastation Virus, and more reliant on going first in Akarechi Mirror, Rico Chaos Engine Mirrors. And also it makes your deck more monster heavy, and that's bad when you're going against frogs because frogs will eat your monster with the monarch, and Gladiator Beast will gladly eat on your little monsters and will be happy to face a deck with few back rows because against Gladiator Beast it's crucial to have enough black back row to deal with the Glad's monsters. This slide is from another video, I recycled it because it talk about the Reicho problem, but I'm not gonna discuss it in depth, so feel free to pause the video to read it. Now let's go to another problem, the unhealthy diversity. Yeah, this is big. This is another big problem. Edison fanboys, when their format is under attack and people say that it's solved, they end up mentioning that Fishborn Frog and Gigabytes are new decks that are doing well in Edison. But my question is, why, like, it's true that these decks are innovation, but does their presence make the format better, more attractive for a retro format enjoyer who came to Edison because they didn't want to face solitaires and break my board fields of modern Yu-Gi-Oh? I think that a retro format enjoyer doesn't want any of that, and that the introduction of these decks in Edison format is an unhealthy addition and doesn't make the format better, but worse. Like it's like designing to play in Tengu Plant format using YCS Columbus as the reference event. Like you will have more cards, but among those cards, you will also have Dark World as a deck. And is it worth to have some few more decks playable if you have to add Dark World to the format? No, honestly, it's not worth it. You will just ruin the format. And in fact, we play Tengu Plant format using YCS Toronto as the main event, not YCS Columbus, without Dark World. So yeah, we came to the end. I'm gonna do a little sum up. In the end, the main problems preventing Edison format diversity are royal oppression, deck devastation virus, cutting many decks out of the format. Then there's also the problem that only the top decks have access to proactive removals, while rock decks don't. And in the end, the only new decks that came out in the format recently are decks that you don't want to face in a retro format setting. You don't want to face Break My Board fields from Gigabytes. You don't want to face solitaries from Frog OTK that will end up with you being OTK. So this is my opinion about Edison and the problems of Edison. I don't think it's a bad format. Like the format isn't awful to play, especially when you play meta decks with meta decks. You're gonna have a good time because the decks are on the same level. It's gonna be a fair game. But when you play rock decks, it's there that you will find yourself often frustrated situation, either because your deck is weak to deck devastation, pressure, frogs, or GB, or all of them. So trying to make your decks work will eventually lead you to Edison burnout. Like there was a time where Edison was a really diverse format, but that's no longer the case. So still trying to sell Edison's as a diverse format when the results say blatantly the contrary, I think it's kinda unethical and will create new players full expectation that won't be met and that will just cause frustration. It it happened with me, it happened with a lot of players. Just be true with the format, just say the truth. Edison isn't a diverse format anymore. It was, but it's not anymore. It's not a bad format, but stop saying that it's diverse for God's sake. It's not. And probably it will never be anymore. So guys, I think this is the end of the video. I'm open to critics. I know that this video is kind of controversial, so I'm open to critics. Maybe I will change idea about Edison, even if I think that my idea on Edison is pretty final. Like it will be hard to move the needle on this. Anyway, this is the end of the video. If you like the video and want more technical analysis or what are the problems of any retro formats, write it in the comments. But probably I will do it myself because yeah, I like this I like the technical analysis. But I also like negative stuff. Yeah, I think I know it's kinda also controversial saying that, but I think it's funny when Flame arises about format. Like you will see always lots of players that will defend with all their teeth their favorite format. Like, this happens with any format. It's just the way they define the format it just changes depending on the format. Like got players will say that luck isn't relevant in GOT. Edison player will say that that Edison is diverse. It depends on the main selling point of the format, and it's always funny to see them. Okay, guys, this is the end. See you to the next video. Play by for circle format. Bye.